afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. Our program today touches on a number of things. We'll hear about family and about military service. We'll hear about love and about suicide. Most of all, we'll hear about courage, compassion, and hope. We will hear all these things because of this young man in the picture. Josh Pallotta of Colchester joined the Vermont National Guard in 2009 and was deployed to Afghanistan. In 2014, Josh succumbed to post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injuries he suffered while proudly serving his country. Josh was 25 when he took his own life. Since Josh's death, family, veterans, and community members have established the Josh Pallotta Fund with the goal of ending veteran suicide. To learn more, I'm joined by Josh's mother, Valerie Pallotta of Colchester. Thanks so much for coming in and talking with us today.
Thanks for having me, Judy.
I just want to say, too, that I really admire you for coming on and being able to talk honestly and openly about this issue, especially when it involves your own son.
Thank you. It's hard, but it's what we have to do. We can't fix it until we address it.
So Josh always wanted to serve his country.
He did. I remember when he was probably about 7 years old, I found a note that he had written that said, "I'm going to be a soldier." And ever since then, he wanted to join. Yeah.
So from the moment Josh joined the Guard, you were finding ways as a parent to also help support him and his fellow Guard members.
I was actually. I was pretty scared when he said he was joining the Guard, and proud, but very scared.
Of course.
Yeah. So I contacted the Guard and I said, what can I do for support? What is there out there? And the family programs directed me to the Parent Network that they had, and that was an organization that offered support for families, parents of all branches of the military, not just the National Guard. So I started attending those meetings, and from there met other moms and dads whose children were being deployed or had been deployed. And from that, we wanted to do something to give back. We, being helicopter moms, as I kind of was, I just wanted to do something to help our group of men who were in Josh's unit who were coming back. We wanted to set things up before they got home so they would have some support services. So we did a lot of research and found Blue Star Mothers of America, which is a nonprofit veteran service organization that has been around since World War II. So we chartered our first Vermont chapter here in 2011, and that's been going really strong since then. And what we've decided to do is focus on financial support for veterans, emergency financial support, and honoring our fallen soldiers' families, things like that. So,
from what you know, what happened during Josh's deployment that impacted his health and well-being?
So Josh was pretty young. He turned 21 when he was over in Afghanistan, and he had never seen, like a lot of our young soldiers have never seen the likes of what happens on deployment. And he was in a pretty dangerous place. It was combat outpost Herrera, and there were only 100 soldiers there, and it was right along the Pakistani border. And on August 11th, 2 of the soldiers who were in their unit were killed, Tristan Southworth and Stephen DeLuzio. And that really impacted them pretty hard. And I think that was pretty instrumental in Josh's healing when he came home. It just was something that he just couldn't get through. He had never really known loss before.
Right. And so you've learned firsthand about post-traumatic stress, not only from your son, but from his fellow servicemen. What do they say about it?
I think it's different for everybody. Some veterans are really crippled by it, and other veterans are really doing amazing. They found the coping tools and techniques, I think, that help them to work through it. A few of the guys in his unit have been suicidal, and thank God they're still here today and really making strides in their recovery. And I think one of the big things is it's not, they don't want to be victims. They don't want to feel like a victim. They've gone through a war. They've done things that they don't want to remember. They've had to see things that they don't want to remember. But I think the being able to work through and having people treat them normally as a normal person is what they want to see, what they want.
And so when was the Josh Pallotta Fund started, and what's the goal?
So we started it after Josh died. When he ended his life in 2014, because of my involvement with Blue Star Mothers, we had started receiving a lot of donations. People just wanted to help, and they didn't know how, so they just started to donate money. And through Blue Star Mothers, we set up a separate account and just designated it as for funds for Josh. And then we went through the first 6 months, I feel like, my husband and I, and the family, with shock. And you're numb. And we really decided we wanted to be very thoughtful in what we were going to do with the money, and we wanted to hear from veterans what they wanted and what they needed. So we chartered the Josh Pallotta Fund and set that up as a nonprofit organization. And we're still trying to figure out what our veterans want and need. We don't want to jump into something and start spending money and have it not be effective.
Right. So you're considering a facility.
We are. So when we talk to veterans, specifically veterans who were with Josh's unit, because they're closest to him and he was the one who ended his life, and I wanted to touch them first and see what they felt was needed that could have saved his life, that could help them. And they all said, we just want a place to hang out and be together and play video games. And from there, I had been doing aromatherapy work since 1994, and I knew that there were some complementary and alternative therapies that would help with post-traumatic stress and depression and things like that. So we decided we wanted to develop a facility that was a combination of a wellness and recreation center that would combine the complementary therapies and massage and chiropractic and yoga and meditation, these things that have been shown to be effective for veterans or anybody with post-traumatic stress and depression. And then combine it with a recreation center, having a game room and a video room and a place for studying and peer-to-peer counseling. And then we wanted to have a kitchen in the center to kind of bring everybody together, like a community meal. And we wanted to teach cooking lessons for veterans and just have a place for a veteran to come and just get away. A lot of veterans who are going to school and have families just need a place to get away and study.
And so how are you raising funds for Josh's house?
So we're doing it by just strictly donations and events. We're looking at doing some grant writing, but we haven't gotten that far yet. I work almost full time too, so this is kind of like my second job working on this. And we have a great committee, but they all have jobs. So we're really slowly trying to do some of these things. But for now, a lot of our fundraising is from events. Yeah, we do a lot throughout the year.
So you and the other leaders of Josh's house are also working on funding that can sustain the cost of running the house as well.
Yeah, and we're really trying to figure out what that is. And I think part of it is having veterans come up with something to do to make money, whether it be doing woodworking and selling the products, or farming or gardening. And that's something that we're looking at experts to help us with. We have a lot of people who are saying, oh, I have a great place for you for Josh's house, and this is a great location. But we only have about $171,000 right now, and I think we need about $1 million to sustain it. So we're looking at ways to sustain the income and pay for it and let it support itself.
Because that's really important to you, that it's going to be an ongoing concern.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want veterans to have to pay for it. I mean, we've thought about maybe doing a membership program if veterans can afford it. Maybe they have dues that they pay. But yeah, that's the biggest concern for me.
What do you hear from other parents?
There are parents who are struggling, and there are parents who are just, let's do this. It's hard because some new parents whose children are now joining the services, being deployed, they're scared. And I remember I was there. And sometimes it's hard for me to reach out to them because I don't want them to feel like my son experienced a horrible deployment. He lost buddies, he came back and struggled with post-traumatic stress and then ended his life. And for me, that's a hard, fine line to walk because I don't want somebody to be scared because of what happened to Josh. And I do think there are ways to help prevent that. I do think setting them up with coping skills as soon as they return or before they're returning. And I think the military is doing a better job of that. I know the National Guard, I think since Josh's death, has really worked hard on on pushing the resiliency training, and I think it's some of the veterans are like, oh, I'm tired of resiliency.
Yeah.
So I think they're learning from this, and I think they're making things happen. So I think parents, if they get involved and they talk to other parents, I think that's the best.
Now, you have a website, too, that has a lot of information. Maybe you could tell folks how they can find that.
We do, sure. It's joshpallottafund.org. It's, if you just Google, it's JOSHPALLOTTA.org, and we have a lot of information on the website. Our contact info is on there, our mailing address. We have a survey out now. We're trying to gather information on what veterans want and need. So if you're a veteran and you haven't completed the survey, please do it to help us out so we can figure out how we can support you.
We've got about a minute left. Anything you want to leave us with, a thought?
I think it's important not, like I said before, not to treat a veteran who has post-traumatic stress as a victim. I think that's huge. I think they don't want you to feel sorry for them, and I think it's one thing to say, I support the troops, but get involved and find a way, whether it be veterans with post-traumatic stress or care packages, just get involved. It doesn't take a lot of time. And the main thing, I think, is be compassionate.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Judy.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. I'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.